Hello and welcome to this blog. My name is Warren and some of you might know me, many of you don't. I'm going to use this blog to tell my DevMoires, which is just basically my developer memoirs. There are many twists and turns over the last 2 decades that I've been a developer, and we'll explore them together. Triumphs will be celebrated, struggles shared, and losses commiserated. However, I'm not going to be naming any names and shaming anybody. So where do we begin? Let's start at the very beginning, which is a very good place to start. When you read, you begin with A, B, C, and when you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. So we're starting way back in the 90s. Some of you haven't even been around that long. When the TV had a back piece and didn't hang on the wall. I was around 13 years old, and I really enjoyed gaming. From Mario to Doom, Contra to Wolfenstein, and everything in between. We had to write an essay at school about what we'd like to become when we were older. All the usual suspects emerged: doctor, nurse, vet, firefighter, pilot, pirate. But not me. I wanted to be a programmer because I was going to write computer games. Thus far, I've written 2. Both of them during my period of education, and we'll get into those at another stage. Throughout my school career, I focused on the things that would get me to being a programmer. I did mathematics, science, computer science, accounting, and even typing. I played chess up to national level, taking part in the South African Championships. And I even did mathematic Olympiads. That was great. During that time, I always had a hustle on, whether it was building PCs out of scraps and selling them to people, or fixing people's PCs and printers. I've always been I'm pretty sure I can figure it out kind of guy, which resulted in triumphs and tribulations, but also a lot of money saved by unblocking the drains and stuff like that at my house instead of calling a plumber. The same mentality kicked in when we hit grade 10, and a teacher discussed what we'd be doing for the year in computer science. So the first half of the year was all theory, and the second half of the year was going to be programming. So I asked the teacher if he could give me the Turbo Pascal textbook right off the bat, so I could start figuring it out myself. I was lucky, he obliged. I ate that textbook up like a Streetwise 2 at a traffic stop. In South Africa, the Streetwise 2 is a get-out-of-jail-free card. Before long, I was bringing examples to class and showing the teacher. I was experimenting. There was no internet, no ChatGPT. It was all try and fail and read and try. During the second half of the year, I would smash out the practical test and exam in under half the time and add extra stuff. While I was writing my prelim grade 12 exams, my mother drove me to university, go and present a system I'd built in Turbo Pascal as an entry into the development/coding challenge. As live demos go, I had a bug fix during the demo, but I still managed to win a prize for the system I'd built. So later I hit university, incidentally the same university. The practical stuff came easily. I didn't even attend the first semester of one of our first modules because it was Excel. I told the lecturer, listen, I'm not visiting your class. I'll just do the homework and the tests. And I missed scoring 100% because I misspelled my name or something. I don't know. I got like 98 or 99%. So our programming modules were handled in Java and Visual Basic. I'd once again finish most of the practical tests and exams in like half the time, and I'd be standing outside waiting for my friends. People would come out at the end of the exam saying they couldn't even get their programs to work. But I always clocked everything. I did very well in the practical. There wasn't a practical assessment I couldn't get done. While finishing up university, I kicked around the idea of doing my own thing. I did what everybody does when they first start a band or a business. I brainstormed logos and company names. I mean, who needs a product or service when you've got a kick-ass name and logo, right? And then I landed a job. So that idea went to bed for a while. I worked on my craft. I learned, I grew. I did a couple of small projects on the side. I built a templating thing for an industrial psychologist friend, which was really awesome. it took his time from creating a report down from like 30 minutes and copying, pasting out of various documents down to like 30 seconds, and it spat out a Word document with his logos, his header, all the right formatting, and it was amazing. That feeling I got when I saw his eyes light up that first time, when I gave him that solution that made his life simpler and easier, it's intoxicating, and that feeling has just grown over the years. As a bonus, people will sometimes pay you money if you can achieve that. My journey took a jump forward in 2012-2013 when a friend came to me and said, "You think you can build an Android app?" Now, at that stage, I'd used an Android device, but I'd never done Android coding. So I said, give me a week. I hit the Google machine, and I taught myself how to write an Android app in like a week. It was really great. It was even featured in this booklet from Vodacom, which is pretty cool. It was a call register app which looked into your call logs and helped you classify your calls as business and personal. At some point, we'll probably unpack that app and see what we could have done better. After some modicum of success with that app, we made a few dollars, but we put it all back into Google AdWords, and we didn't know what we were doing, so we used it all like $100 that we made. That same friend asked me to lend a hand with the sideline system he was busy with, where he needed to have people sign on the screen and capture some data, and he was battling with a few things. So I helped him out, and the next thing, we were off to the races. We were partners in a business. Over the years, that system was used by the likes of places like ProVantage Media, MultiChoice, Engine, and other big-name companies. It grew slowly over a couple of years, and I later stepped out of that business and founded OrganiCode, where I find myself now. Now, OrganiCode has been going since 2018, and during that time, we've done work for VWSA, GHD, yes, the hair straighteners. My wife was bummed that I didn't get any discounted merchandise, but it is what it is. We've done work for Cape Town Stock Exchange and a whole bunch of SMEs. I've had permanent employees and I've had contractor employees. We got battered around by COVID and the resulting lockdowns that even had a big project run aground because of the electronics shortages that we faced during that time. I find myself 41 now, and I've been around it as a developer for about 2 decades as a career. So I've seen some things, and we'll unpack those through these vlogs. Being self-employed has had some crazy highs and lows, but it happened at just the right time for me. It has afforded me the freedom I needed to support my wife through like this IVF journey which we went on, which failed. I was able to be there for her for all of our doctor's visits, and our doctor moved from the Vaal where we are to Sandton, so it was a long trip, and many other women that were doing IVF didn't have the privilege of having their husband with them for support, which sucked. Then, after the IVF failed, we had a miraculous pregnancy, and it was a high-risk pregnancy, and again, being self-employed, I was able to go to every doctor's visit, again, 65 kilometers from where we stayed. And again, a lot of the other women there didn't have that privilege of having their husband with them. And it was awesome for me to be able to support my wife and be there. But it's only because I took this leap of being self-employed. Then my wife hit preterm labor before our son was born for 2 weeks. So she was in hospital in Johannesburg. Then he was in hospital for 2 weeks in Johannesburg. And during that 2 week on either side stage, I didn't do any work. As an employee, I would have been up shit creek without a paddle and probably without a job. So they always say that your job is going to be advertised in the papers before your obituary even. And over the years, many of us will know that this is pretty true. It's very rare for a company to really look after their people. So I'm modeling my company on the opposite of that. I strive to be different. So the permanent employee that I had, he was willing to move for the exact same salary that he had it where he was unhappy, but I gave him a higher offer than what he asked for. Part-time contract employees have asked for a certain rate. I negotiated with clients and got them a higher rate than what they wanted. So like over time, I really, really hope to help more people. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time, whenever that is.